Hello, welcome in. Greetings. Today we will be practicing a Vinyasa style postural practice. This practice today is intended to be energizing, uplifting, and really working to um, bring in an essence of being open to possibility through the shapes that we'll be exploring in our body. So I recommend for today to have a couple blocks and a blanket, especially if you like to have that for knee support when knees are on the ground. And bolsters, pillows, meditation cushions, if you've got at home, are always a great way to go. So feel free to pause if you need a moment to grab what you need. And then once you've got it, I'm going to meet you at the mat. You can come to an easy seat or sit back onto your heels, and I'll meet you there. All right. I'm going to sit back toward my heels today as we settle in to get started. And you can land there or at a crisscross. I recommend to have the hips elevated just a little if you've got a tool for that at home. And you're welcome to rest your hands atop your thighs. And take a few breaths to land and settle in. And if it's comfortable, you can close the windows of your eyes or otherwise rest them at an unmoving point. And then slide your palms up and over your heart to your energetic heart center. So, right at the center of your chest. I'd like to lay some groundwork for today's practice for the sankalpa of, of courage, of vulnerability, an openness to expansion. Think of this as an invitation toward possibility. So maybe there's a particular possibility or invitation that you're experiencing in your life or that you're confronting in your life. You might want to bring that into your heart, into your mind now, something very specific toward which you might be doing the work of opening up to, of allowing some expansion, of allowing some vulnerability, of being seen. This class will build progressively toward deeper heart openers, otherwise known as spinal extensions or back bends. So, really important family of postures to modify and use your tools and tips and tricks to make sure that the postures are working well for your body. And always moving in with stability and strength and intention to every shape as we move through the practice. So inhale right to your heart, that space below your palms. And as you exhale, perhaps soften your shoulders. We can plant a very simple affirmation to hopefully anchor into the practice today, something you can come back to anytime you notice your mind wandering. So you can repeat silently, I open myself to possibilities and I trust. I open myself to possibilities and I trust. Okay. If you're not already there, you can let your eyes gently open, keep the muscles around your eyes nice and soft, and take a seat back towards your heels. Remember, you can be up on a block, or I've got my meditation cushion tucked in here between my heels and my bum. We'll start with a Simbasana or lion's posture, which includes a breath, a pranayama, and it is quite activating at the start of our practice. So, always the invitation to visualize if it's not right for you. But I want to add on a piece for the upper body, excuse me, as we will be relying on our wrists a little bit later in the practice. So, as we lean forward, you'll land your fingertips pointing in towards your knees. So it's a little bit different. Typically for Simbasana, we're landing here on the palms, right? And then it's a exhale as you stick the tongue out, and the gaze, the drishti, is right at the third eye point. So today, I'd like to invite you to take the palms facing up. Give the wrists a little bit of an opposing action to what they'll experience a lot of today. Okay, so we'll take that for 3 full rounds. Let's take it together. Inhale fully. And exhale to lean forward. 2 more. Everything out of the lungs. Inhale nice and high to a tall seat. And exhale as you lean forward. Making sure everything empties from the lungs. Last round. And then go ahead and take a tall seat. You can slide any props and support you might have underneath you off to the side. We'll be landing on hands and knees, so blanket underneath your knees is an option. Come on into your table. And for just a few breaths, let your navel drop and collarbones broaden on your inhale. And then exhale to press the earth away. A simple cat-cow oscillation. Land your left palm to the center of the mat as you bring your spine towards something more like neutral. And let's take an open twist. Right fingertips float high. Open twist. And then exhale, land your right hand back on down to the earth, center of the mat, and float your left fingertips high. Open twist, second side. And then both palms down to the earth. Leave your knees planted, land knees, chest, and chin. So sits bones are hovering. Squeeze your elbows in, little baby extension. Slide your heart through. You can untuck your toes at the back, roll your upper arm bones down towards your hips. It's Bhujangasana, baby cobra. We'll take a few rounds of this, and we'll really move in a progressive way with these extensions. Exhale back down. Forehead might land to the earth. Inhale with a big roll of your shoulders, side elbows toward your hips. Gaze can lift just beyond the front edge of your mat. And exhale back to the earth. Last one. And exhale back to the earth. All right. Now, tuck toes under, roll back up and over your knees, and hover your hips. Adho Mukha Svanasana. It's a downward facing dog. Let's pedal it out for the first one. We'll take a little bit of a lateral extension here. So bend deep into your left knee and then walk up onto your right fingertips. You can sneak your gaze underneath your right armpit, just feeling into the right side body, some space between each rib. Put your left heel down, right palm returns to the earth, and then bend deep into your right knee. Come on up to your left fingertip. Spin your gaze under your left shoulder. Big breaths into the left side ribs this time. And then right heel to the earth, left palm to the earth. Round your back to roll your weight forward toward plank. And then it's knees land down, a supported chaturanga. So hips stay hovering, supported chaturanga. And then lift your heart. So it's a high cobra, building on, expand from the collarbones. Gaze can be straight ahead this time. And then tuck your toes under, reach back. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Two more rounds, just like that. So it's a rounded back forward. Land your knees, supported chaturanga, and then high cobra. Building up in stages. Tuck your toes, cover your knees, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Last round. Knees land. Chaturanga Dandasana. Lengthen. You're on the tops of your thighs. High cobra. And then tuck your toes. And it's all the way back. Adho Mukha Svanasana. This time, roll your weight forward. It's plank. If you're feeling ready for it, you can build in chaturanga with the knees hovering or land your knees back on down. But all variations this time around on the tops of your feet, it's Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. 3 big breaths. And then land your knees, press toward neutral spine at table. Take a few rounds of cat and cow. So in these shorter length classes, you'll notice we really expanded on that rather quickly. So taking a little bit of time here to soothe the spine, make sure we still have that nice fluidity. You can take some rounds of rolling, big barrel rolls in one direction, and then the other. Settle back towards your table. Tuck your toes under. Here we go. It's downward facing dog again. Lift your gaze forward. You can step your right foot up and through. Help with your hand if you'd like. Land your left knee down. So it might be a good spot for a blanket if you'd like. Perhaps you want to have your blocks to frame your front foot for a little bit of support. Toes can be tucked under at the back or untucked. So it's really just what feels best for your knee, as long as your knee is feeling stable at the back. And if you're feeling uber stable here and you want to test the proprioception a little bit, maybe you find a different variation, right? Come on up toward an Anjaneyasana. And then as you exhale, circle your elbows back and maybe sink your hips forward so you can deepen in a little bit further. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, deepen in, and it's cactus arms. I turn this way so you can see what I'm doing in my upper body. This time, as you inhale to lengthen, we're going to add on a piece. So left elbow bends, bring right hand atop the left elbow. So this is the variation this time, perhaps sinking hips forward. Inhale to lengthen your arms. And then we take it to the second side. Right elbow bends, sink the hips forward. And all the way back up. Good. Breathe on down through heart center. Frame up your front foot. So if you'd like, I quite like this supported vinyasa variation with the hands on the block. So if you've got your blocks handy and you want to check it out, then you can hover your back knee, step it back, and it's vinyasa from here. It also adds a little bit of an element of really expanding that upward facing dog. So the knees hover higher. Otherwise, land your hands right to the earth. And exhale to roll back through Adho Mukha Svanasana. One more breath. And then bring your gaze forward and left foot is offered up and through. Remember, you can help with your hands. Land your right knee down, cushion if you'd like. Once you're steady, toes are untucked or tucked, your preference. Reach your fingertips high. And we're going to start with a few rounds of that cactus arm variation. So it looks like this, circling your elbows back, the hips perhaps sink deeper. Inhale to lift. Good. More round just like that. And this time we're switching it up in the upper body. As you sink your hips forward, it's right elbow that bends, left hand presses atop your right elbow. Come on back to center. And second side, left elbow bends this time. Big sink of the hips forward. And reach all the way up. Good. Breathe on down. Frame your front foot. So remember, it's with or without blocks. cover your back knee, step on back. Vinyasa, if you'd like, or always the option to come right on into your down dog. So practitioner's choice. If you're moving to up dog with that support, your knees are going to hover a little bit higher, press the earth away through the tops of your feet, and then roll up and over your toes. Adho Mukha Svanasana. 3 breaths. Bring your gaze forward and walk on up to the tippy top of your mat, just one step at a time. All the way on up. Take a fold forward. Come on up halfway. So to mat, blocks, shins, your preference. And then exhale back to Uttanasana. Slide on up with the inhale. Utthita Tadasana. Bring your gaze upward towards your fingertips. And then find opposite elbows. Oops, I'm not quite zoomed out enough. I'm just realizing now on the camera. Find opposite elbows. Keep your pelvis rather stable at center. And then hover from your heart. So a little bit or a lot, just going back as far as you're comfortable. And come all the way on back to neutral. You can release your elbows. Float your palms down to heart center. Samasthiti. Take a breath. Check in with your heart. I know there's some, extensions are a really great family of postures to like get most people out of their comfort zone, unless you have a background as like a dancer or a gymnast. Most of us are not going through the world doing these really dramatic heart opening shapes and back bends. So it can be really physically challenging, but beyond that, really energetically and emotionally challenging. So really check back into your heart. Want to make sure you're, of course, exploring, opening to new possibilities and vulnerability, but also making sure you're respecting your space of comfort. Right? We don't want to eject ourselves recklessly out of that space of comfort. So take another breath here to simply notice. And then go ahead and take a big step toward the back of your mat. I'm going to step with my right foot so that you'll be able to see what I'm doing here. So you can step with whichever foot allows you to see what's happening best. Front heel will land at about mid-arch of the back foot and then expand arms out from your shoulders. It's Vira 2. Land your right hand or your back hand to upper thigh or below your knee. Reach your left fingertips high and really lean into that front knee, and then really breathe into the left side body. Come all the way back on up to Vira 2. Land your hands to your hips. I'm going to take a little heel toe step with my back foot so the base is not quite as wide. And then go ahead and lengthen up your left leg without locking your knee. So heading toward Trikonasana, but leave your hands at your hips for now. You're welcome to reach for a block. We won't stay leaning down here for very long, but just to situate, try to lengthen the lower ribs. So in my case, it's my left ribs, and find a little bit of contraction in the upper ribs. And then once you feel steady, draw your navel back, and it's a bind overhead, elbow to elbow. So we've seen this before. If you can, think of rolling your ribs. It's a little bit of a rotation, rolling your ribs upward toward the sky. I know it's super hard. And you're scissoring both feet inward toward midline. 3, 2, and 1. You can take those wings out wide. Once again, take a breath, Trikonasana. And then bring your right hand towards your hip, gaze down to the earth. And come on up. Keep your left foot as is. Step your right heel in, as in Durgasana. You can bring both hands to your hips now. Sink on down. And then find that same big circling action. We've seen that already with cactus in the upper body. But if you'd like, we're going to take it further and really lift through the heart. So really adding in not just the shoulders, but actually the spine into an extension as you sink down toward a seat. Gaze and heart is lifting. And then inhale, expand everything, star shape. spin your back toes. Well, we're going to spin toward the back edge of the mat now, right? So back toes spin in, the other toes spin out. So we're facing toward the back edge, right into our Virabhadrasana 2. So right into that same Vira 2 shape. Take your left hand or back hand to upper thigh or below your knee. Reach your right fingertips high, and it's a deep sink into your front knee. Doing all this stuff to get deep into the tops of the hips. Lift it on back toward Vira 2. Bring your left hand to your left hip. Lengthen up your front leg. So remember, like if your foundation's really wide, like mine tends to be for Vira 2, you can heel toe step your back foot in just a hair. And then I'm going to bring my block here to get myself set up for the best rotation now that you know where we're going on this second side. So lengthen your front leg without locking your knee. Reach forward as in Trikonasana, perhaps landing on a block or the earth, and already looking for this rotation action in the torso. So it's a little bit of length in the lower ribs, a little bit of contraction here, and spinning your heart upward. And then try to take the opposite elbow to the front. So it's binding opposite elbows and look for a spin. Lift your gaze, lift your heart. Remember to breathe, scissor legs in toward midline. 3, 2, 1. Take your arms out wide. Back to Trikonasana. Take your left hand to your hip. Come all the way on up. Both hands to your hips. This time, back toes can turn in, right? So all 10 toes toward the long edge of your mat, and interlace your fingers behind you. Press your knuckles down toward the earth as your heart lifts. And then exhale as you fold, release your hands. Look for your blocks. Look for your blocks. We're folding forward, but we're going to add in a little variation today. And it looks like this. You can heel toe step out a little or a lot to get there. Take your elbows atop your blocks, press your palms together, and it's a little dive between your elbows. So kind of like Anahatasana, which we'll get to in a moment. Prayer hands can come toward the base of your neck. Take a breath. Oh, time flies when you're back bending. One more breath here. And then go ahead and extend your arms. You can walk up perhaps with your blocks. And let's all walk around. So we're facing toward the front edge of the mat once again. Step your back foot up to meet your front foot. Take a fold. Inhale halfway to Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, deepen your fold. And then come all the way on up. Breathe your hands together to your heart and sink your sits bones down. So right into an Utkatasana. A little scoop of your tailbone in and then reach your fingertips high and think hover your heart, right? So it's a little bit of an extension here. Or you can bind opposite elbows. We've seen that shape a lot. Thinking, scooping, lifting your heart. 3, 2, 1. Lengthen your legs, fold it down. Uttanasana. Last chance for a vinyasa here. Lift halfway on your breath. Exhale to fold with your blocks if you'd like. I like that variation for so many reasons, but in particular for this class because it's really expanding that upward facing dog. Then land your knees to the earth. Lift your hips. Grab your blocks if you didn't already have them. Take them to the earth about shoulders width apart. Land your elbow. Here's our melting heart. Press your palms together. We've seen this in the upper body already. Sink your weight of your head down between your elbows. Thumbs come in toward the base of your neck spine. Hips stay up high. Heart melting pose. One more breath to go. And then go ahead and lengthen your arms out. Walk your hands in. You can slide your hips down to one side, bring your feet toward the front, and adjust my mat a little so I don't go whacking into my pants here. Always seems to slide a lot on this carpet that I'm working with. Okay. So make sure you've got your blocks with you. And also you can have anything with you that you know you like for Shavasana, but don't worry, we're not going there right now. But if possible, that will prevent us from having to come back up toward a seat. So have your blocks with you. Go ahead and roll all the way down toward the earth. Land your feet in about hips width distance apart. And then on your inhale, roll your hips up and off the earth. And as you do that, invite your fingertips up and overhead. So you'll notice that as your arms extend up and overhead, there's a little bit of an invitation there to lift your hips even higher. Like a natural progression, more length for the front side of your body. And then exhale to roll all the way back down. Let's take that 2 more times. Inhale up. Make sure your neck spine stays really nice and long. And exhale down. Last one. Okay. Take both of your blocks. You can also do this without blocks, or if you're working with books, make sure they're about even height. Take them to either side of your head at the lowest setting. Okay, so new upper body configuration here. As you inhale, to hover your hips, reach your arms up and back, but bend at your elbows. Press your palms down into the blocks or into the earth. Hover your hips, squeeze your elbows in toward midline. And then exhale down. Over fingertips, roll all the way to the earth. 2 more rounds just like that. You can also stick with that arm extended variation up and overhead if you prefer, or if you're working without blocks. Roll it back down. Last one. Remember, if you're bending into elbows and pressing palms to the earth or to blocks, keep the elbows squeezing into midline. And all the way back down. Okay. So, couple options here. We'll take the final expression of an extension, of a back bend, of your choice. We've done a lot of preparations in the body to head toward either wheel prep. Really, this class is intended to take you toward wheel prep because it's just such a short class. If you're feeling great in your body and you want to go right to Dhanurasana, that full wheel expression, then that's an option as well. If neither of those are something you're curious about today, or if it's not in your practice, I'd like to give you an alternative that's still quite a challenging extension, and I'll demonstrate that first. If you're working with wheel and you want to take a few rounds, go for it. Otherwise, take a block underneath sacrum, make sure you're really nice and steady there. And this is actually from Yin, but it's a really strong extension. So you can, with support underneath your low back, extend out one leg and extend out the other. So it looks a little different. It's more passive, yes. There's not weight on neck, shoulders, right? The shoulders aren't doing any heavy lifting at all, but still so opening and nourishing. And so, such a vulnerable shape, like the whole front side of our body is just so open. So if this is your preference, you can hang out there for a few minutes. If you're going into into wheel variations, with or without blocks, we just were playing with the blocks. If you like that variation, great. You'll reach your arms up and back behind you, press the heels of your hands into your blocks or into the earth. Dhanurasana prep looks like this. Press up into your bridge, just as we've seen, and lift toward the crown of your head. So you can stay right here working on squeezing elbows in, lifting hips and pelvis, rooting through all edges of your feet, and then come on back down to the earth. Okay. And we'll do three full rounds. So some of you might have already finished those three rounds. If that's the case, land with feet wide, rest your knees onto one another until we catch up. Okay. If you want to work into your Dhanurasana, it's elbows to the earth or to your blocks. Start by lifting toward the crown of your head, and then it's an extension of your arms and elbows. Okay. So first to the head, and then you land to the head as you transition down. Take your time. And as everyone is settled down from their third expression of whichever variation, or if you're in pontoon, slide up to the soles of your feet. We're all going to meet here. You can set your block to the side or blocks if you're working with them. Take your feet nice and wide. Land your knees onto one another at midline. Let your arms snuggle down alongside your ribs and then roll your pelvis forward and back. Think leading with the pubic bone forward and back. You might feel some, naturally there's a little bit of compression, hopefully not a lot, but there is naturally some compression in the low back as we work with extensions. It's just the way the spine and those intervertebral discs work as we flex and extend. A little bit of a rocking rhythm forward and back. And then think of rolling a circle with your pelvis. Since we have the lower body in this constructive rest, it might feel a little restrictive, like there's not a ton of movement, but that's the point, right? As we work to slowly neutralize. Whichever direction you're circling in, go ahead and reverse it. Roll around in the opposite direction now. I went a little bit rogue. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Oh yeah, I want to get that in for you guys. Okay. So rolling in the opposite direction. And then go ahead and pause at neutral. Take your feet together now at midline, but let your feet drift away from your sits bone. So it's a little bit of a wider angle and invite your knees down to either side. So you want to make sure you land in a place where the low back doesn't feel crunchy. So that could mean taking your blocks in underneath your outer thighs. It could mean working with your pelvis placement. So if I find a little bit of a lift, more of my back can touch the earth. My knees are going to come up a little bit higher, and that's okay. But it certainly feels more nourishing for my low back. And then go ahead and lift your knees back up toward midline. Hug them toward your heart and find your big toes with your peace fingers. Ananda Valasan. Take some rocks from side to side. If you'd like, you can extend your legs long, maybe, with or without rocking. And then go ahead and land both knees down towards your right. Take your wingspan out wide from your shoulders, gaze to the state of the sky, or out over your left fingertips. Final twists are really like the best way to nourish and support and neutralize the spine after all those big extensions. With your next inhale, guide your knees up through center. If you need to take a little wiggle with your hips, feel free. And then land both knees down at the left edge of your mat. So again, gaze can stay neutral, or you can send it over your right fingertips. Stay here for a few breaths. And then with a little scoop of your navel back, roll all the way on up to center. And before settling down into the earth, give yourself a tight, tight squeeze. Now, Apanasana. Round your back, roll head, neck, and shoulders right up off the earth. Squeeze yourself into a little ball, like a little seed. And then exhale, either come all the way on down toward your Shavasana. If that's your preference, you can soften the tops of your thighs, let the big toe edge just kind of roll open upward. And if comfortable, allow your palms to open upward to the sky. If it is your preference to take a seated meditation as your integration, then you are so welcome to set yourself up there as well. If your low back is kind of speaking up after all those big back bends, then some support underneath your knees might be great. A bolster or a pillow. In particular, think of softening the front side of your body, this soft, vulnerable part of us. And this part of us where our belly and our heart are so exposed. And reflect on the openness, not just physical, that we cultivate when we work to lengthen and stretch that front side of our forms. And as you settle into a still spot here, a safe landing for the practice, I encourage you to reflect on the ways that you are meeting life with an open heart, or equally the areas in which you might wish to meet life with a little bit more openness, more vulnerability, without judgment. Just see what it might feel like to say yes, just for today, just for this moment. Does it feel like to open up to the possibility and say yes? And then the next few rounds of breath, you can start to gradually lengthen out to either end. So slightly lengthening your inhales and your exhales, and just noticing how that simple expansion of your breath invites in the possibility of movement. As your breath expands, your movements expand. But with gentle awareness, you can widen fingers and toes. And if you're seated, perhaps neck rolls or shoulder rolls. And for those down to the earth, go ahead and take a roll to your favorite side, maybe after building in a nice big full body stretch, like you just woke up for the morning. And then roll on down to one side and journey your way up to a tall seat where we can all come together to seal the practice for the day. And as you arise, find a gesture that feels most authentic for you. Today, I would encourage you to think about a Hridaya variation of Hridaya Mudra with the palms over your heart, though you certainly could bring your hands to your lap or to the earth if that feels better or best for you. Allow your head to rest nice and low, just landing back into that gentle affirmation we called on at the start of the practice, perhaps throughout the practice. I open myself to possibilities and I trust. And you can repeat silently to yourself. I open myself to possibilities and I trust. And then send yourself in a breath of deep gratitude for taking time out of your day to tend to your heart, to tend to your practice. And I thank you so much for taking on this practice with me here today, to opening up to possibility and the vulnerability that is the family of backbends and the practice of yoga. Thank you so much for joining, and I look forward to seeing you back in soon for class. See you next time. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye bye.